From rehabber to creative house flipper, Brian and I are going to introduce you to a graduate of our apprentice program named Tony. And what's real interesting about his story and what you may be able to relate to is that he got started in real estate by buying a property that he was living in, fixing it up over time, and then he'd sell it. And then he'd go buy another one and do the same thing over again. And his background as a career was construction. But he saw from our trainings that there was a better way. At that time, we didn't have a label for it that we do today, creative house flipping. But in this interview, you're going to hear how Tony made that leap from renovator, construction person, to being more like a transactional engineer, where he wasn't the one doing all the renovations. He wasn't managing all these contractors to do all these renovations. Instead, he was getting the property either under contract or he was getting on title and then reselling the property for a lot more money. And now where he stands, he doesn't want to go anywhere else with his real estate career. He wants to stay right in that zone of creative house flipping. Without further ado, here's Tony. First and foremost, Tony, welcome.
Thank you.
And we've got alongside you, Brian Bush. Brian, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. This is going to be a lot of fun.
All right, so Tony, we all would like to know first and foremost as we get going, where were you before you joined Freedom Mentor? Like where were you in your life and what were you searching for when you first started finding our information?
So I was working construction, residential construction, and I bought my first house in 2010, and it was a fixer-upper. And so I did a rehab on that one, and then I bought another one and moved into it and did a rehab on that one, and then I did it a third time. And throughout that time, I'd been watching a ton of your YouTube videos, and I actually called the number in like 2015, and then I just kind of chickened out. But then, too many cold winters working outside, finally just said, all right, I'm doing it.
What was attracting you to what we were sharing in our videos? What was different about what you heard from our videos?
Yeah, so I wanted the whole idea of being the reluctant rehabber and just, finding good deals and then just flipping them to a contractor that wants to do the whole rehab. That's, I've been just going through those rehabs. By the time you're done and you get that thing sold, it's like, man, I don't even want to look at the house anymore. So, I mean, yeah, it's fun taking an old house and turning it into something nice. There's something to be said about that. But yeah, I just wanted to take it to the next level and, watching your YouTube videos and just all the different avenues with real estate that I knew nothing about and just found it very interesting. And
Tony, did you think about pursuing this on your own since you already knew how to rehab? Was that maybe your initial thinking, hey, let's just do this myself? Did you really feel like you needed help when you first started?
well, I mean, that's kind of what I was doing, but doing what you guys teach, I thought there was no way I would want to try it by myself. Absolutely not. I think it would be, just way too much of a gamble and way too dangerous financially. So, you know,
Got questions? Simply text the word freedom to 305 315 8030 and we'll help you. What was it that convinced you that you needed the help to go to the next level? And why was it us as opposed to anybody else out there that taught how to be successful in real estate?
I guess the reason I chose you guys is because of all them YouTube videos that I watched. I mean, they seemed, very in depth. Just like, I could tell you knew what you were talking about from the first one I watched. The first one I watched was so I actually YouTubed, how to flip houses back in like 2014, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw that video, "The Secret to Flipping Houses,"
Mm-hmm.
and just looking at all those numbers, it was like almost the exact same thing I was working on. Like, costed me this much. I thought it was going to take this much to fix it up. It took more. it took longer to sell and it didn't sell for quite as much as I wanted it to. And, and then at the end of the video, you're like, well, what if you could do this without, doing all that work and, making this quick nickel versus a slow dime. And that's what really got my interest.
What role does a mentor play for you versus YouTube University versus just figuring things out?
Well, first thing, I didn't know anything about marketing, and that
Mhm.
seems to be the biggest part of this business. So that was huge. Learning how to establish relationships with title companies and having a friendly agent if you're not an agent yourself and you don't have access to the MLS, and so all that was really important.
Some of the things that a mentor explains are the things that you don't even know what to ask.
Yeah, especially dealing with sellers and buyers agents. I mean, I needed a lot of help with that stuff. I mean, you get sellers that ask some pretty tough questions because they want to know what's going on every step of the way, and there was a lot of times where I didn't really know how to answer some questions. So it's really nice to be able to get on coaching calls and say, "Hey, Brian or Michelle or whoever, what do you think about this?" And then it was pretty easy to get things figured out.
Do you think you would have achieved what you've achieved without our help with regards to working with sellers and people?
Not even close. I don't, there's maybe one or two deals out of the 23 that I've closed with you guys that I could have probably gotten done, but still not without you guys teaching me how to find a good title company. And so I don't know. I don't know if I would have gotten any of them.
But tell us a little bit about how did your deals get funded? Because I'm sure a lot of
Oh,
people are asking themselves that question.
yes. Um, yeah, my favorite funding is no funding at all. It absolutely works if you know the right people. And I did use hard money from you the one time for a rehab, the only rehab I ever did. But otherwise, I funded some of the deals myself. Yeah, most of my deals, I think I was in all in like right around that $200 on
Yeah.
most. Yeah, and I looked into transactional funding. I haven't used that yet. Actually, I tried to the one time, but then that deal kind of fell apart. That was one of the only ones that really fell apart, and that had to do with a buyer's lender that just didn't want to think outside the box. And I guess that'll happen sometimes.
Yeah. Every successful real estate investor has a mentor. Get mentored by me and my team by applying to be my next apprentice. Click the top corner.
But
Tony, I just find it fascinating that you came in with the skills to rehab properties, but you learned enough the hard way to know, I don't want to rehab properties. I'd
yeah,
rather just flip them. I just got to figure out how to do that. And when you talk about only $200 at risk in a deal, and I know you closed a lot of those, what's the biggest amount of profit you made or that you remember making when you only had $200 on the line?
well, that one that we closed last summer, that one made 50,000, and I had like 200 bucks into it. And then another one, I think I had like 2,500 in it because I did do some clean out and cleaned up the yard a little bit. And so I was in like 2,500, but that one made, I think, right around 85,000. So I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, and it's phenomenal because you know how to rehab, and most people are drawn to, they really figure that's the only value I can add. I have to rehab. And that's goes for a lot of folks that have just some of those skills. You have all the skills, and yet you know enough. I mean, to me, that's just wisdom to know the quick nickel beats the slow dime. And you proved it over and over. So congratulations on that. I'm
Thanks.
curious, are there any of those deals that really stick out to you? Maybe some highlights, some favorite deals?
My favorite deals, the ones that made the most money, were the easiest ones to deal with. The ones with the smaller profit margin, for some reason, it's just it's like there's just more problems. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it just seems like that's how it's been.
It's always been that way. When
Really?
I first got started, I discovered the same thing, and the way I discovered it was that it was the first time I'd ever hired a CPA, an accountant, and he looked over my books and he said, "Well, it looks like there's just a collection of deals that have made all of your profits for the entire year, Bill." And I said, "Yeah, I know. Those were my favorites. Yeah, those ones. I wish they were all like that." And he said, "Well, how do you get more of those?" And he asked me that question. I was like, "Well, that's the question I should be asking."
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always been that way, Tony. We're talking 30 years of this type of business model. It's always that way. The bigger deals are a hot knife through butter, and you wish they were all like that. And that's why we go back to our model has always been we continue to market better and better and better to get more of those. And as you got into your level, you can cherry pick now. You can step over the really small deals and focus on the big ones.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to determine that now at this point. I know there was a period of time where I actually quit working and just kind of thought, "Oh, I'm going to go full time on real estate," and that's when I started to get thin deals under contract
Yeah,
and just a nightmare. And then I'm sitting there spending all this time trying to get those closed while I'm wondering to myself now, am I missing out on something better because I'm spending too much time on this stuff that's not going to make much money.
right. Overall, what was it like to be a part of the Freedom Mentor Apprentice program?
I thought it was awesome. All the you and all your coaching staff has just been fun to work with. Just a lot of down to earth people, easy to talk to. Yeah, I had a lot of fun throughout the way. I mean, there was a lot of challenges, and I was nervous at times where there was a lot of money on the line, and I didn't want to screw things up. But overall, it was a lot of fun with the whole journey. So
Be sure to get your free copy of my best selling book, How to Be a Real Estate Investor, and that comes with the audiobook version as well. Click the top left corner.
There's going to be others that look at this and wonder, can I do this? What kind of advice would you offer them? Maybe if you had this to do over again, how would you approach it? What would you tell someone that's considering this business?
I would say don't wait around and wait for the perfect time. If you're ready, I would say go for it. And it seems like a big step to get into. But with your guys' help, it's not that scary when you have mentors. Take actions that make sense.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing too. Is for other people is to just start taking actions. When I first joined, it was like almost a year before I closed the deal. I just kind of got on all these coaching calls and just kept analyzing and analyzing, and nothing happened until I actually started marketing and taking actions and talking with sellers. And
What advice would you give your younger self?
I would say um, join a real estate mentor program instead. When I was younger, I thought it seemed like a lot of fun to buy a house and fix it up, and you think you're making a lot of money, but it just gets to be way too much work, especially when you're living there and all the dust and it's just I don't know. And especially when I was working construction, I mean, do I really want to come home and put the tool belt on again after work? It's just like I don't know. It just gets to be way too much and stressful, and pretty soon you just don't enjoy it anymore. So yeah, I think I wish I would have joined in 2014 when I first made that call. That's for sure. I had kind of a little partnership going with this general contractor. We were pretty good friends at the time, and we did a couple of these rehabs. And he was thinking that he should get 50% of the profits. It's like, well, I don't know if this is really going to make sense. I didn't really have anything else going on. I didn't was tired of working for the man, so I thought, all right, let's just I'm giving this a try. And it seemed all right until the money thing, and it just, pretty soon we were at each other's throats, and it just did not work at all. So that was a bad move on my part. I wish I wouldn't have done that, and I'll never do that again. Because I think I've heard you say a few times on your calls, Brian, what's the only ship that doesn't float? The partnership.
Yep.
I learned that the hard way. So
But it's interesting you came out of a partnership that didn't work and you entered into one with us. What gave you confidence that this would be a good partnership?
I just thought you guys had such credibility. And then, just our interests were aligned. You guys want to see us make money. You don't, whereas the contractor is kind of more one-sided. He doesn't really care if I sell the house, and he doesn't really care. He wanted to make it seem like he did, but at the end of the day, you could just tell that it wasn't. There was no credibility there. With you guys, it was completely different. So I'm
I'm
glad.
curious, Tony, ongoing, as you're cherry picking deals, obviously you did a ton of flips, wholesale deals. Do you see yourself doing many more rehabs?
I no, no. I just don't like getting into those rehabs where you start tearing stuff apart, and all of a sudden you got mold or rotten lumber and stuff that you didn't expect, and it gets to be a nightmare. I mean, unless it's like a where it clearly just needs like maybe some new cabinets and trim and flooring and paint and stuff like that. I might do stuff like that, but I'm not going to start tearing houses, gutting them and stuff like that. No way.
Well, Tony, what I love is that you came in with a know-how towards contracting. You knew that wasn't where you wanted to only add value, and you've developed all these skills to the point you don't even want to rehab, and yet you can make the money you want to make doing real estate the way you prefer to do it with less headaches. I think that's just a total win. So congratulations on that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
really appreciate you guys. I'm really glad I found the program, and it's been an awesome journey.
So I hope you enjoyed getting inside the story of Tony and where he started, his journey to where he is today. If you want to have a similar experience, that is what the Freedom Mentor Apprentice program is all about. We are going to work with you step by step, no matter where you're starting from, even if you're starting from a pretty high level right now, like where Tony was. He already knew how to fix up a house, to brand new to real estate. And we're going to work with you every step of the way to you becoming a professional real estate investor who is producing consistent profits year in, year out, so that it's a profession for you that gives you the flexibility, the freedom, the things that you want from a financial perspective without some of the challenges and hassles that most would face if they're going into real estate alone. So that's what the Freedom Mentor Apprentice program is all about. We encourage you to apply. There's a link here where you can do that. And if that's too far for you and you're just trying to get your head wrapped around what all this is that we're talking about and this language we're speaking, check out my book, How to Be a Real Estate Investor. And that takes you in depth into not only my story, but understanding how it all works, how we do what we do, so that you can be more confident in how that could fit into your financial future. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us on this interview. Brian, thanks so much for being here with me and helping me along the way with that. And we'll see you on the next video. Would you like to be coached by me and my team? Every successful real estate investor has a mentor. Discover how you can be mentored by us through our apprentice program by clicking above.